Ladies and gentlemen, the champ is here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. We heard Thursday's show with the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, and all of a sudden, I get a message from the champ, the super dad, the patriarch, and he says, listen, I heard what the Lawman had to say. I got to come on here. I'm making a comeback. You got to get me on here, Sportswire Radio. And we said, absolutely. He's the super dad. He's the patriarch. He's the champ. Of course, we got to get him on here because he is going to have a lot to say. It is going to be a very, very, very busy next 60 days or so for Champ Rogers. He is a big star and a big name when it comes to Nonstop Action Wrestling, GT Ministries, also Blackheart Wrestling. So I'm excited to get into that, plus his journey. So without further ado here on the Sports Show, the number one global sports show, pro wrestling star here, the super dad and the patriarch, Champ Rogers. Champ, how are you?
Hi. I'm doing amazing. I'm doing absolutely amazing, my friend. I wanted to just say, first of all, thank you so much, so endlessly, for having me on here. It's an absolute honor from my side to to get to have a sit down, have a chat with you, and to address all the lovely audience. You've got an amazing audience yourself. I've got an amazing audience. I love every single one amazingly. So yeah, I'm doing great. I'm fantastic. Never been better. I'm just glad to be here. Just so glad to be here.
I'm almost waiting for you to bring out like the tea and the crumpets and the crackers. It almost sounds like we're gonna have like a real friendly conversation. But I know it's gonna dive into some things because there's definitely gonna be some heated things to get into. A lot here, a very, very busy time here in the world of professional wrestling, especially for Champ Rogers. So Champ, I'm going to give you the floor because obviously you heard last week from the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, and obviously it's well documented that you and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy have had quite the feud here in Nonstop Action Wrestling. You have definitely had your issues here with the society, and this is your first interview since you've come back. These are your first words, and I see people lined up in here. I'm going to get to those comments in here in a second, so I want to set the tables because you were with us here for our audience on Sportswire Radio that is watching this, listening to this, and maybe even for the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. I'm giving you the floor now that you get the chance to address everyone, and especially the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, in your first words since your return from your injury.
Right, perfect. So, well, my very first word that I'm going to say is onomatopoeia, just because that's my favorite word. It's a great word. In general, it's been a tough few months really, because obviously for those of you that may not remember, I had just an incredibly grueling match with the Lawman, Mr. Kyle Kennedy, back at Nonstop Action Wrestling Presents Exordium. I would say that is probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest matches that I've had. We really put each other kind of through it then. There's a lot to kind of unpack with what happened there, because again, for anyone that hasn't seen it, Mr. Kennedy and I, there was a bit of back and forth kind of online on social media. He went to some places that maybe he shouldn't.
Yeah, we saw some of those videos there. Oh boy, yeah. I mean, he really went there.
I will hold my hands up. I will completely hold my hands up. I went to places where I shouldn't have as well. It got very personal. It got quite petty. And I suppose maybe, he kind of, got his own back when after the match, the end and after the match, he hit me with a low blow. So he won via a low blow while the ref's back was turned. The society was distracting her. And then, if you've seen the clips, there was a 3-on-1 on squat, 3-on-1
took a beating there, my friend.
Yeah, I took one of DeCaro's knees. That basically kind of put me out after the lawbreaker. And then, just the icing on the beat down cake was a stiff right hand from Remus K himself. So an honor for some people, maybe. For myself, I can't say I was a big fan, but these things kind of happen. So from there, I was out with an injury for a bit. I tried to compete, through it a little bit with again against a man that I have the utmost respect for. Again, maybe I wasn't shown the same respect back by Mr. Tommy Dillon, but he did beat me. I took on his open challenge at GTM, a little bit afterwards in Bradford, and he, hands up again. He did beat me. He was a better man. But in regards to that one, I would say that I was at, I don't know, maybe 40%. And he was at 100%. So if it was that close at that level when he's been doing it for this long, and I was still fairly new even at the time. So maybe there's a rematch there that's waiting to happen someday. I know that he's got a lot on his plate.
Oh, there's a lot to get into with Nonstop Action Wrestling.
A lot.
I mean, there's so much to unpack here. I'm going to try to get to all of this here first, but certainly you did mention the wild card Tommy Dillon. He's in the house tomorrow night. I'll get to him undoubtedly in a little while because obviously you were in the ring with him, and I'll certainly get into GTM also in a little while. And I've got some comments from the Lawman Kyle Kennedy already, Supersonic Sammy Blue. But I do want to ask you, obviously, because you said you were at 40%. The Lawman was at 100%. So the strategy then, knowing you were at 40%, was at the beginning of the match to give him a hug?
Well, if you take my 40%, well, if you take my 40% and you add it to his 33 and a third % chance of winning, then I've got 142% chance of winning at Sacrifice.
That's the Steiner math. You got the Steiner math there for you.
This is the Rogers math, and I always win. Except for when I lose. So the hug
then to start the match, that wasn't mind games, or what was the whole thing with the hug?
I just wanted to hug him. He's quite a huggable man, to be honest with you.
He's a very big man.
He's a big cuddly man. And when you get into the ring with someone, you could say whatever you want at the start of a match, before a match, before you step through those ropes, you don't know the person that you're standing across from. It's only when you lock up there or get in that ring with them that you can truly say that you know someone. That's how I met my wife. She beat me up originally. So, she wasn't even on the card, so I don't know what was happening there. But these things happen. I didn't marry Kyle Kennedy, though. Obviously, that didn't end up so well. That was more of a divorce,
right? I mean, last we checked, right?
Yeah, exactly. The hug was. I was more a case of, I didn't feel like I shouldn't go for a hug. What do you do? A handshake? You could do a test of strength, a lockup. I just didn't feel that was
handshakes we've seen in wrestling. I mean, we definitely see handshakes. I guess maybe during COVID, maybe you saw fist bumps, but I mean, a hug at the beginning of the match, I mean, that was definitely something that I wasn't expecting, especially
he turned down the kiss, so it was the only thing I could go for, really.
Well, I mean, certainly the Lawman is going to have some thoughts in here, so let me get to a bunch of comments in here because I've got a bunch of them, so let me get them on the screen here. First, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, the aforementioned Lawman, says, "How's the ribs?" So how are the ribs doing right now?
They're better. Definitely better. Would I say it was at 100%? I can't really answer that question until I get in the ring again, which will be soon. But I would say that compared to, how they were when I had, 3 sets of boots, barraging into them, I'd say they were doing much better. I could probably ask him the same. How are your ribs doing? Because I know you ate a drop kick pretty hard and did for you for a good few minutes. How's your cheek? Yeah, how's your cheek? Because I know that someone might have slapped you a little bit, didn't they? Ooh.
And we've got Supersonic Sammy Blue says, the Society are the worst. Obviously, we know from the past several weeks on these streams in the history in Nonstop Action Wrestling, the Supersonic Sammy Blue and the Society do not get along here. And an individual who might know Tommy Dillon says Tommy Dillon is too old to be 100%. Ha ha. Well, I mean, Tommy Dillon has definitely had some success in the ring, so I'm going to plead the fifth on that. The Lawman Kyle Kennedy says, "Go away, you blue weirdo," a.k.a. Supersonic Sammy Blue. The Lawman also addresses you and says, "Don't hug me, you freak." So he's calling you a freak now, basically.
Yeah, well, he He's scared. The reason that he doesn't want to hug is he's scared, because when you have that much testosterone, pure love and testosterone hugging you, the beard, I know, it tickled you. It tickled you on the cheek, and that threw you off, didn't it, Carl? So, don't be scared. I will hug you regardless, obviously with your consent.
Well, you're saying that deep down the Lawman Kyle Kennedy appreciated the hug? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, I mean, he's got to get his hugs from someone. God knows his parents don't hug him, so.
Okay, all right. So certainly I'm going to plead the fifth on some of that when it comes to the parents, but Supersonic Sammy Blue says even 40% of the love handle is devastating. Connor Cage, who's been with us here on a number of streams, obviously we're going to get him in the house here soon, says, kicking off already, no surprise there, meaning obviously the back and forth between you and Mr. Kennedy and Supersonic Sammy Blue. And before I get to the boss, Joshua Stone, who's going to be in the house tomorrow night, right after Wildcard Tommy Dillon. So definitely stay tuned for that. The Lawman says, scared of you, you've got to be joking.
Well, you should know by now that I'm serious 100% of the time. 100% of 100% of the time, Mr. Kennedy. I don't think I've ever told a joke. I don't think that I've ever said anything funny in my life. So I would just like to say one thing to you. If you're not scared of me, there's a hug waiting. There's a hug right here, buddy. Bring it in. Come on. You know where I live.
For whatever reason, I'm thinking about, there was an old song, I think in the 70s, when I used to work in a supermarket. They used to play. It was like, I'm a love machine. For whatever reason, I'm thinking like the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. That should be his theme. So obviously, there's licensing issues, but I'm thinking about that song.
We can make it work.
We can make it happen. But obviously, let's get the boss in there, because the boss is coming in tomorrow, which is also, we're going to be talking a lot about the boss because of the 8-man Fire and Gold tournament, which I'm going to definitely ask you some thoughts on also. He says, it's fantastic to see you in far better condition, champ, my friend. Nonstop Action Wrestling has dearly missed you. Wallace Kyle Kennedy might not want a hug. I certainly do. So the boss wants a hug when the next time you see the boss. Is that going to be a definite, confirmed, guarantee hug?
100%. 100%. See, Mr. Snow, I have nothing but utmost respect for. To be honest, all of NSAW management have been, incredibly kind to me. I will always say that Nonstop Action Wrestling is Champ's home. While, I've gotten out there a bit and I've been to a few different places and they've all been amazing, but, there is nowhere quite like home.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. 100%. There's 100% a hug waiting for you, and it's good to be back. I can't wait to get in there and see everyone again.
And we cannot wait also to see Nonstop Action Wrestling also once again return August the 13th here at Fire and Gold. A lot to talk about here on Sportswire Radio when it comes to Nonstop Action Wrestling. And of course, if you like what you hear from Nonstop Action Wrestling, I highly encourage you like their Facebook page, especially if you are watching us now on Facebook, on Instagram. NSAW Official is for all of your information when it comes to Nonstop Action Wrestling. Quickly become one of my favorite companies around here in pro wrestling. Also, if you like what you hear from the champ, the Super Dad, you can follow him, champ_Rogers on Instagram. You can also follow his page also on Twitter as well. You can do so by going to, on Twitter, you can go the champ_Rogers, also like his Facebook page. So a lot to get into here with Champ Rogers. I'm excited. Love talking Nonstop Action Wrestling. And certainly a individual here says, I love it when the Nonstop Action Wrestling crew get together and it all kicks off. I love it when a plan comes together. We could not agree with you more. And certainly 100%. I've got a couple more comments. Let me get to here first before I get to the Lawman. So this individual says here, who does Champ want to get into the ring with? So this individual here is certainly knows his stuff when it comes to Nonstop Action Wrestling. That's all I'll say. And he says, who does Champ want to get into the ring with?
Right. I could be here all day answering this question. The first one that I'm going to say straight up is you've seen him comment before. It's Supersonic Sammy Blue. He's one of my best friends. Absolutely love the guy. Full of energy, full of talent. He's just so entertaining as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't recommend, if you get to see a Supersonic Sammy Blue match, especially live, 100% go and do it. The guy's absolutely amazing, and we could have a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely love him. So that's an easy one for me. If we're going off of kind of people that say in the local scene to make it a little bit kind of easier, I'd love to try out against one Gung Ho Muttley that I know you've had in the past.
Oh, Gung Ho! You certainly said the
Yeah.
magic word here, Gung Ho Muttley.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I think that would be quite good. He, for a long time, if not still, is very much against laughing. I'm the complete opposite. I thrive off people laughing at me and jeering
He
and
loves
things
his
along those lines.
Claymore. He's undefeated with that Claymore when it connects.
It's true. It's true. But I mean, technically, other than Tommy Dillon and most of the other people I've used it on, I don't think anyone else has kicked out of my finish. So, I mean, I could be wrong. I did get hit in the head pretty hard. So, but I've been against MC2 before it was a tag match, but I've gone against MC2 before. Again, and I have to say, amazing talent there as well.
Absolutely, and I'll get to old school MC2 for sure.
Yeah, so I think Muttley definitely. Outside of the kind of the NSAW regulars, obviously, I would love to take on Joel Cobra at some point once he's back. I know he's out at the moment.
Absolutely, from GTM, sure.
Yeah, exactly. There's Billy O'Keefe, if you're familiar with him as well. There's so many just amazing talents, really, that it's so hard to narrow it down. Just basically put all the rosters of GTM, NSAW, and Blackheart into one massive Survivor Series match. Or do it as a handicap match, so it's me versus them. That'd be great.
What?
I don't need to. I might not win. I'm not saying that I'm going to win, but I'd have a match with them.
Okay, I guess. I mean, if you want all those individuals, I mean, I think, speaking of GTM, who I think you'd be a really fun match, you and the Metal God Alex Boylan, that would be a fun match.
Yeah.
You guys kind of said personalities. That would be, to me, a really intriguing match.
I've had very limited kind of interactions with Mr. Boylan. Obviously, I've seen a few of his matches.
Yeah, obviously.
But again, he's incredibly talented as well. He's just so entertaining to watch. So yeah, if it gets back to him at all, Alex, I'm always up for having a match with you, mate.
Oh, we'll make sure of that. Certainly, the Metal God Alex Boylan. I think we were actually supposed to have him on a few months back, just before I think Jack Johnson won the GTM championship. But I'll get to GTM in a little while for sure, because there's a lot to get into with GTM, but I want to stick here a little bit for Nonstop Action Wrestling here. And certainly another comment in here from Bradley says, who loves Sammy? We love Sammy. And of course, you Super Dad.
Love you too.
And Supersonic Sammy Blue says, right back at you, champ, sending love your way. But then certainly we have to break up the love fest here, Super Dad, because the Lawman Kyle Kennedy says, oh, and if your missus ever puts her hand on me again, believe me when I say I'm not afraid to put women in her place.
Right. That is a topical, controversial statement there, Mr. Kennedy. Obviously, my missus, the last thing that she needs is for me to kind of defend her. She can fight her own battles. As you saw, she laid you out, mate.
Yes.
So, she's got quite a slap on her. I do know kind of a little bit of kind of backstage information was she washed the hand that she slapped Kyle with. Must have been about 17 times when she got home. So, it took a while to get that funk off of her.
Why 17?
17 times in a row with sandpaper. So I don't think you have to worry, Kyle, because I don't think she wants to touch you at all. Which I would say that you're probably, that's probably not anything new to you from women. But I'll ask her, and if she does feel like slapping you, I'll make sure that you get a heads up, because I don't want you to cry again, basically.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, certainly, I'm trying to think of the last time I used sandpaper for anything. I'm trying to think maybe when I was in shop class in high school. So it's been a few years. So I'm trying to think of.
Well, if you ever run out of toilet paper, it makes a great alternative.
Well, I guess when we were at the early throes of COVID, I guess maybe some people had to make that choice. I hope not, but certainly
exactly.
That was
you know what things were like. Things were absolutely insane. We go to extreme lengths. I do it now just because it's cheaper.
Okay, well, certainly I'm going to move on from that, but I am going to get to another comment, which I think is a good one before I get to the Lawman again. And is who would be your dream tag team partner, alive or past? That's a good question, actually.
Oh, right, that is a good question. I'll do two answers. I'll do alive and I'll do past.
Okay.
So alive, and if this is out of anyone in the world at all, he's already spoken for, but I feel like me and Orange Cassidy would get a lot going on. So that would be incredibly fun. I'm a big fan of Wardlow and things like people like that.
Wardlow,
so that would be fun. If we're going for past, that's quite a tricky one. I was always a fan of Macho Man growing up. That feels like quite an obvious answer. Maybe New Jack. There you go. Is he dead? I can't remember if he's alive or not.
A complete contrast of styles between. I mean, you and New Jack is total 360 there.
I feel like we would have a good rapport. He scares me, but that's not always a bad thing. And I feel like New Jack and I could get a good thing going. I'd say New Jack. We could be New Champ. That'd be good. There you go.
Well, I mean, certainly, if I'm going to say alive or past for you, you'd actually, to me, kind of going off that, you'd fit in well with Samoa Joe.
Do you think? Do you think Samoa Joe of all people? I mean, I have actually been lucky enough to. It was only in brief show when he was meeting fans. This is way before I started wrestling. I think it was an ICW show, if I remember. I did actually get to meet Samoa Joe. So maybe. I mean, he didn't seem too fond of me. So I don't know if maybe I annoyed him.
Too many people, though.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to change my answer for alive. It's Grado. I'm going to be in a tag team with Grado, and that is something that is going to happen. I'm saying it now. I'm putting it out there. I'm manifesting it. Grado and I will be tag team champions.
All right.
Within a year.
All right. So certainly fair enough. I mean, at least you didn't say the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, right? So you and the Lawman.
You never know.
Well, I got some comments from the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, so let me get to those. So he says, she was an audience member and she had no right putting her hands on me. I was assaulted, yet I'm the bad guy here. Unbelievable. Would you like to comment on that?
Right. I mean, okay. I can see where he's coming from. So while, in maybe a court of law, you're the lawman yourself, Carl. Maybe you know about it more than I do. I'm not too sure that it would stand up. I'm not a lawyer, so if you're going to sue her, that's on you. I don't know anything about that. When it comes to a wrestling environment, obviously the audience should never put their hands on a wrestler. That just goes without saying, unless of course high fives and so on and so forth.
Right.
So yeah, I can't. While it did work in my favor, I suppose when I think about it, I can't really condone what she did there. However, I think that with the reaction that she got, from slapping you, after, and again, in case you haven't seen, after you insulted her and my infant son, say what you like about me, but it's when you bring them into it that I start having an issue. Then I think that maybe there's a bit of, divine kind of retribution from, kind of some karma going on there. So yeah, maybe you're right in kind of legal terms. Again, you're the lawman. But on moral terms, I'd say you had it coming, honestly. Simple as that.
Okay. All right. So certainly a lot to unpack there. And certainly something tells me here we're going to be hearing a lot from the Lawman and Kyle Kennedy and Champ Rogers here near in the distant future in Nonstop Action Wrestling, the Dad Bod God and his supersonic son-in-law. So very quickly, let's change topics to a lighter note. The Dad Bod God shirt. I mean, how did you become the Dad Bod God? I mean, this whole thing. Walk me through it.
Well, I used to be the Slim Bod God, but then I discovered Just Eat and Deliveroo. and things went kind of downhill from there. And then just mostly, a fondness for eating and a lack of fondness for exercising. That kind of what kind of got me here. And now, by the time that I started wrestling, it was too late for me. So I just, swung into it, lent into it. And that kind of went from one thing went to another, and it became the Dad Bod God. I've gone through, there's a lot of things that people, know me by, as the Dad Bod God, the patriarch, the super dad, the world's sexiest man, trying to get that one off the ground, but it's, still pick it up. The Ayatollah of dad rock and roller, the trusty in the tool shed, the chic of the shed. So many things that you could go for. The king of barbecue style. But most of them are just too long to put on a shirt. So, I got to work with what Print gives me.
So, I guess safe to say, Father's Day must be like, in America, we have
Christmas.
Yeah, it must be like for you, like Christmas, like your birthday and into one.
Exactly. I absolutely adore Father's Day, mostly because it means I don't have to pay extra to get custom shirts made, because they're all they make them for me. So, I'm going to hold my hands up and say, I love a bargain, so I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth.
So I have to ask that, though, but the Dad Bod God shirt, is there a way people can purchase this shirt? Is there a way that people can maybe...
Well, this one in particular, this one specifically, no, because obviously I'm wearing it. But if they want to buy their own in a size of their choosing, they can head over to my Pro Wrestling Tees site. So just on Pro Wrestling Tees, search Champ Rogers. I'm right there. I think there's a link on my Instagram as well. I'm not too clued up with all this social media stuff, so it's on there somewhere. But if you look on Pro Wrestling Tees, you can get this. You can get a whole bunch of designs. I've got a very talented designer that works with me. He's very attractive as well, which helps. So, very funny, very attractive, really tall. He's like 7 foot tall. He's absolutely jacked. He's gorgeous. So, I would say that I've got good stock there.
You got some good shirts. We're looking at it right now, and for those that might want to actually go and buy a Champ Rogers shirt, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Champ Rogers. So if you want to buy a shirt, maybe you don't want a Dad Bod God shirt like me, but you might want a shirt that looks like the Patriarch. That's a cool design. That's something that you could definitely wear. That would be something that I would definitely look to purchasing, because that is a shirt that you're going to definitely want to wear, because you can be maybe just half as cool as Champ Rogers. And certainly Supersonic Sammy Blue agrees. Everyone should definitely invest in a Champ Rogers crop top. Bradley says, yes, tell him Champ. And then Mr. Snow says, loving the shirt, Champ. Deliveroo is a nightmare, I must say, but I digress. What are your plans for the rest of 2022 in the world of wrestling? Excellent question there, of course, by the boss.
Amazing question.
Right after, and the boss is going to be with us right after Wildcard Tommy Dillon tomorrow night. So it is a nonstop action wrestling takeover of Sportswire Radio tomorrow night.
Exactly. So, the rest of the year in the calendar of Champ is, it's a busy one. It's a real busy one. I feel like I've had, because of my, few months away from the ring, I've kind of got to make up for that. So, immediately on July 3rd, July 3rd, I believe, I will be at Blackheart for their next show. And then, forgive me for my memory's not so great after I got kicked in the head by Robert DeCaro, so I can't remember the specific names of shows. Then on, is it July 16th?
Yes, July 16th. I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, GTM. So I'll be at that one, hopefully. Obviously, I don't want to give anything away, but keep your peepers peeled for the People's Champ, but not that one. The Discount People's Champ.
Okay.
There you go. People have said I look like The Rock, so I can understand the confusion.
You know what? I was thinking maybe are you guys related by any chance? Do you guys have some Samoan heritage at all? I mean, any blood?
I wish. I wish. I am very pasty, so I don't think I have it in me. I have an amazing respect for the culture, though, so
Sure.
that would be great. But yeah, maybe far back. Who knows? We're all related if you go far enough back,
Yeah, well,
apparently.
that's
So
the old
who knows?
expression. They say that people, no matter what, like if you think about like ethnicity, bloodline, there's always some different way here. But
All the
you
way back.
well,
All the
you
way back.
well, I want to get to nonstop action wrestling in a second because Supersonic Sammy Blue says GTM you say question mark. And I did want to ask you because it was announced at the end of the last GTM wrestling church this past week. And I have some comments. I'll get to them in a second. But July 16th, it was announced by Gareth Angel, of course. Everybody knows Gareth Angel, the former GTM champion. And there'll be a 30-man Rumble to determine the number one contender to Jack Johnson's championship. We haven't seen you in GTM in quite a while, and since you did bring it up, I wanted to put you on the spot before I get back to nonstop action wrestling in a second, which will kind of transition back into them here. I mean, would you like to be a participant in the GTM Rumble? Would you like to be the guy that gets that next shot at Jack Johnson? I mean, it's been a while since we've seen you in GTM. I mean, what's your thoughts on all that?
So GTM is a place that holds a very special place in my heart. Mr. Angel gave me a shot when, he didn't need to. I was fresh, I was green. He allowed me to help out, and then, he eventually arranged for it so that I could, compete over with GTM. So it does have a very special place in my heart. I would be honored to be, obviously, in the Rumble. I think that, if you need any convincing at all you have to do is look at social media, look at the followers, look at the response already to the announcement that I'm coming back. It's not, it doesn't take a genius.
It was a big deal.
That...
I'll tell you what, when I announced you were coming on last night, champ, I mean, a lot of people checked it out on Facebook and Instagram. I had a lot of people message me. No joke. A lot of people tuned into it.
I mean, I don't want to be big-headed or anything along those lines. It's not me. But I'm pretty amazing. So I don't know if, that's enough. It should be, hopefully. I mean, Mr. Angel, if you have a look at the metrics, if you have a look, the numbers do not lie. And Champ Rogers do an equal sign there. Money, tickets, I'll even get people to go to the tuck shop. Extra spending. So yeah, I would love to be in the Rumble there. I guess we'll see what kind of fate has in store. If I'm in it, I think there's a very good chance that I could win it. And if it comes down to it, everything crossed, fingers, toes, legs, everything crossed. And I did get to face, Jack for that championship. Regardless of what the outcome is, I know that we would both leave it all in that ring. I know that we would both give it all in that ring. And I know that there would not be a single disappointed person in that building.
I'll tell you what, the thought of, listen, our guest here right now tonight on Sportswire Radio, the super dad, the patriarch, Champ Rogers, being possibly a participant in that 30-man Rumble for the number one contender to Jack Johnson's championship is definitely something that we would definitely like to see. And if you like what you hear from GT Ministries, give GT Ministries a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, GT Ministries UK, also YouTube as well. And I've got a few more comments in here, so let me get to some of those here first. And that is also the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, says, I'm ready to rumble. So, I mean, I shouldn't do this, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, I don't know if you have any powers. I mean, you have a lot of super dad powers, right? But I don't know if you have any powers in terms of getting people into this Rumble. But why not, let's say, have another nonstop action wrestling member of the roster be there July the 16th? I mean, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy would actually be somebody I might want to see in the 30-man Rumble at GTM. I mean, would you want to see that, Champ Rogers, especially with your score to settle? I mean, what do you think about that? He's undefeated also, by the way. He's 4-0. He's 4-0. He reminded me about this last week. Go ahead.
So with, obviously with the mantle of Super Dad, as you mentioned, does come a lot of power. Now, I don't think that there's, too much in my power I can do to kind of influence, who else would be in the Rumble.
But you bring ratings, though. You said you do bring ratings.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you put, it was a sellout show. Whenever you put, Kennedy and myself together, the shows, they do sell out. So, take that for what it is and what you will. If he, if he was in the Rumble, there would definitely be some interesting occurrences that would happen there. I can say that. I can guarantee that for sure. But then, there's a lot of talent. For example, going back to NSAW, there's a lot of talent there that should be in that Rumble as far as I'm concerned. Supersonic Sammy Blue, as I mentioned, he should be in that Rumble. Carl Kennedy, 100%, you should be in that Rumble. I may not like you as a person and we may not get along, but I can appreciate and acknowledge that, you're a talent and you're a draw. So 100%, I think, get Kennedy in that Rumble, get Blue in that Rumble, get me in that Rumble, get you in that Rumble, Tom.
I don't know if Mr. Angel wants to see me in the Rumble.
I do.
Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll see what happens. Obviously, this is the second company now that's obviously now, for whatever reason, wants to see me in competition. But before I get to another comment about companies you might want to work for, I thought this was a good one because obviously Connor has reminded us about somebody that we've had on here also in the past few weeks, Goliath, and certainly Goliath. I mean, he made short work of old school MC2, and he has also called himself the People's Champ. So a bit of competition there. So, any thoughts on Goliath, by the way? Because obviously we had Goliath on here a few weeks ago, and he really doesn't like certainly old school MC2 and Gung Ho Motley. So maybe you want to stay clear of him right now.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of reason not to like, old school MC2 and
the Academy of Acting and the wrestling.
They're like Marmite, except if everybody hated Marmite. With Goliath himself, I'll kind of watch what I say because he's a big man and I quite like all of my bones not being powder.
Yeah. And I don't know if a hug would work with Goliath because if you see Goliath the way he looks, I don't think he accepts hugs.
No, I mean, I don't think I could get my arms all the way around, so I don't know if it would count as a hug. But, we could definitely do like a stomach bump or something, like one of them, something like that. I've got a lot of respect for the guy. He terrifies me. Don't get me wrong. He absolutely scares me endlessly. But the one thing that I will kind of say, and, I'm saying this from the safety of my own home, so I don't really need to worry about it too much, was you can't really call yourself the people's champ if nobody likes you. So, Goliath, I'm sure you're a lovely guy deep down, but you're scary. I wouldn't say that you can call yourself the people's champ when you have someone literally called Champ who everybody loves. So, again, maybe that's big-headed of me. Maybe I'm, kind of defending something that I'm claiming there. And again, please do not eat or, maim me in any way. I know that, I wouldn't want him to be my first match back. I'll say that much. Get in the ring with him at some point, of course.
Smart strategy.
But I wouldn't want him to be my. I'm confident. I'm not stupid. So I again, if maybe we can someday have a match for the title of the People's Champ. I would just have to gain 200 odd pounds, or he would have to lose 200 odd pounds, and then we can go from there. Or maybe we can meet in the middle. I'll gain 150. He loses 150. Or maybe we can just hug it out. Again, we'll figure it out. But yeah, Goliath, I love you. Just in case you are listening, please do not hurt me or my family.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, certainly if there was ever a peace treaty, you've heard it here on Sportswire Radio between Champ Rogers, the patriarch, and, of course, Goliath, who certainly made his case here very heard.
Scary dude. Scary dude.
And I'll tell you what, even Gareth Angel wanted a piece of him. So if Mr. Angel wanted a piece of Goliath, that means that would stay clear from him. But I got a good comment here, which I think is always good. And I like these comments from Bradley here. And he says, what companies are on your bucket list to appear for? That's a good comment.
Right. I mean, this is something that I could spend all day kind of answering. To save everyone having to listen to my voice for that amount of time, I would say if we go in kind of, bigger, then I would say I'd love to do ICW. I'd love to do Progress. this is quite again, to be honest with you, I don't know if it would ever, come to pass, but say that, everything went the right way and it did happen. I don't think if I was given the opportunity, I don't think that I would actually go to one of the bigger places, like WWE, AEW, things like that, because that's just not, I love the kind of interaction that I get to have with people on this level. I love kind of, the how intimate everything is. And I still have this love for the business. I have this love for the environments and the people, the crowd, the ambiance of when you're at shows, whether you're performing or not. So I don't think I would actually want to go to one of those bigger companies, but I would certainly do say ICW, Progress. I want to check out. I want to go to BTW. I want to try Bolton. I know
They
a couple of guys that have been on there.
BTW.
Exactly. I'm a massive fan of Maverick Matt Williams. People like that. Rarebit. If you haven't seen any of his matches, go and watch him. He is, again, utterly terrifying, but I just can't take my eyes off him when I see him. So BTW's definitely up there. That's something that I need to have a look at arranging. There's TNT I'd like to have a go at. And there's one, again, this kick to the head's got me going. There's this one that's down in, I want to say it's Portsmouth, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, just because, again. But there's a good few places around.
I would like to suggest Wrestle Island. If we got Wrestle Island.
See, I have heard a little bit about it. I haven't watched much, but I have heard a little bit about Wrestle Island. And I think I know a couple of the regulars there. So maybe if the stars align and there's something that they're open for, I am more than happy to turn up and, make their fan base love me as well.
I would also throw Future Shock Pro Wrestling. Future Shock, everybody is always into Future Shock. So, there's a lot of companies out there. TNT, I think, would be a great one. You mentioned ICW, you mentioned Progress. I think a friend...
No Mercy. No Mercy over in South Wales. I'd love to do No Mercy over in South Wales. I'm from, those kind of areas originally. So, it'd be great to go back and perform, near enough to, say, my kind of original hometown. This is such a good time to be both a wrestler, a fan, even if, things like a manager, a referee, just involved in wrestling at the moment in the UK.
Before I get to Mr. Snow, because I want to get to the boss here in a second, I could not agree with you more that I think right now the scene here in the UK when it comes to professional wrestling, it's as hot as it's ever been.
Amazing.
I'm so excited. People ask me all the time, before I get to Mr. Snow, people ask me all the time, they say, what do you think about pro wrestling? And first thing I talk about is British pro wrestling. I talk about
places in the world.
Like Nonstop Action Wrestling. I talk about places like GTM. I talk about places like Bolton Town Wrestling. These are the companies where wrestling to me really lives. It is like the territory days. The independents in the UK are so different than the independents in America. The independents in the United States, it's almost like, it's goofy. It's almost like, it's like cartoonish. I don't want to say it's not taken seriously, but most of it is. But to me, the independence in the UK, it's like, to me, it's like real. It's like the old days of the 70s and 80s with the territories. To me, it's a really big deal. But I want to transition back to Nonstop Action Wrestling because it is something that I obviously want to ask you on, because we've been asking it all throughout the last, I guess, week and a half or so on Sportswire Radio since we had Gung Ho Muttley on it. We're going to obviously get Wildcard Tommy Dillon's thoughts on it, and we're most certainly going to get Mr. Snow's thoughts on it. So let me bring in Mr. Snow, and he says, I know it's been a hot topic already, but I think a lot of people want to know your thoughts on Nonstop Action Wrestling, Fire and Gold.
So, in general, any opportunity to see, us at NSAW perform is one that you should take. 100% it's going to be an amazing show. Again, I can't say too much about it at the moment. It's still fairly early days. Can't say whether I'm going to be in that tournament or not. Again, I will refer Mr. Snow back to what I said towards Mr. Angel. And also, why does nobody have normal kind of last names in this business? It's something I've just realized. But I will.
We're not
direct you
normal.
back.
That's why in professional wrestling. We're not
Yeah,
normal.
exactly. If you've got a strange enough face and a weird enough name, you can make it in professional wrestling. Well, I would say that I can't say whether I'm going to be in that the tournament, or whether I'm going to be what involvement I will have with it. I am 100% again ready, willing, and able to come back and to steal the show. Right there. I believe I would say that I'm back at the top of my game at the moment. I feel amazing. I feel like the world is my bivalve mollusk, my oyster. I can definitely go and walk the walk at the moment. I can obviously talk the talk and talk for England, as you can probably tell.
It's good for
I
us,
would say,
yeah.
Mr.
So, yeah, it works for us.
My fate in regards to fire and gold is in your hands effectively. Do you want to potentially put one of the most popular guys on your roster in that tournament, or do you want him to sit at the back? That's up to you. I know what I would choose. Just put me in the tournament. But at the end of the day, I respect your decision, whatever that may be. But it prints money. That's what I could say. Is it prints money? It's going to be an amazing show. Always is. It's we're getting the first kind of world champion. We're getting the first world class champion for Nonstop Action Wrestling. Would you like to see Champ as the main man in NSAW and have that that title to kind of back up that name? Champ by name, champ by nature. So maybe your audience could say what they think about that, and I'll leave that to them.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna get to that. We have some comments for sure. In fact, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy is already here in the house, and he is ready to respond ably here toward that. But let me get this straight, because I know Gung Ho Muttley's been on here. We've gotten his side of things. Goliath's been on here, and he's definitely a worthy opponent. We spoke quite a bit about the Lawman Kyle Kennedy and getting his thoughts on being in the tournament. We even had on last week a guy from GTM very well, Bentley, who made his declaration that he had some interest in being in the tournament. And I guess you could say he technically won the BTW championship. He held it for 30 seconds. They had a reversal of outcomes, but he did certainly make of quick work of Sean Only very impressively last Saturday here for GTM's Chain Reaction. So he's a guy that you have to think could be in the discussion if it is going to be a Forbidden Door situation. But, I mean, do you feel that you should be, or you stand out over some of these people? I mean, the wild card Tommy Dillon, I'm asking him the same question tomorrow night. I mean, Mr. Snow, we'll see what he says, obviously, when he's on after the wild card. But, I mean, do you think you stand out over some of these people and should automatically be in this?
So my answer to that is, in wrestling, you have, 100 guys that will turn up and will, for example, come on the show, grab the mic, get on in the middle of the ring, and will say, I am the toughest SOB there is. I am the hardest, the scariest, the meanest. They're what I like to call pizza cutters, kind of all edge with no point. Whereas, how many Champ Rogers do you come across? Like maybe 2 or 3? You're not going to say I'm the only one. Hopefully I am, but I won't say that I am, because I don't know. But the fact of the matter is when I come out there, when I get on a show like this, when I step in the ring, you never know quite what you're going to get, but I can guarantee you will have your expectations subverted. So do I deserve to be in that match? Do I deserve to be in the tournament? Do I deserve to win the championship? Again, it might be big-headed of me, but I would say that, yes, I'd say that I've kind of earned a place in regards to my dedication. I'd say that I've earned a place in regards to what people generally want to see. I would say that, there is only 1, maybe 2 Champ Rogers in this world. And Mr. Snow, NSAW management, hell, GTM, Blackheart, you have that Champ Rogers right here. Do you want to make the most of it, or do you want to waste it? That, I trust you to make the best decision possible based on that information.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, extremely strong words here. It may be the most strongest words yet from the returning Champ Rogers, who is back in action here, coming up here later this month. You're going to see him, I'm sure, in many, many other companies here. He is healthy. He is 100%, and he is making his declaration that he would like to be a participant, and he has made a very strong case of being a part of Nonstop Action Wrestling's Fire and Gold 8-person tournament to crown the company's first ever champion. And if you like what you hear from Nonstop Action Wrestling, I highly encourage that you follow the company, NSAW Official. I highly encourage also you follow Champ Rogers, the Champ_Rogers on Twitter. Like his Facebook page, Champ_Rogers on Instagram. I am a host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you like what you hear from us on Facebook, you can give us a like anytime on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on the radio on sportnarium.com/player. And I can promise you tomorrow night, I'm going to ask Mr. Snow about Champ Rogers, if the Super Dad and his Super Dad Bod and the Patriarch, all the different names he goes by, should be in that tournament. Certainly, he's made a very worthy case, and we're going to get to that here. But let me get to some more comments because I'm a little bit behind on a few. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy claims, if you're in the tournament for August 13th and I'm not, then there is a clear and obvious favoritism. Let me ask you this question, and I'm going to get to some other things here in a second. I got Supersonic Sammy Blue. Good question from him. But let me ask you, I mean, hypothetically, now I'm not the matchmaker, I'm not the boss of Nonstop Action Wrestling, but let's say that Mr. Snow says, you know what? We're going to put Champ Rogers in the tournament. But here's the catch. We're going to put Champ Rogers in the ring with the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, to decide who would advance in the tournament. Would that be something that you'd say, you know what? I would take it, or you say what?
You know what? Let's add one step more. If you make it no disqualification, then I will. I'm not going to even ask for the rest of the society members to be banned from ringside, because we saw what happened last time. Let them come out. Let them come. But make it so that I can fight back at least. That's all I ask. I won't even ask for the numbers game to be equal, as long as the equalizer is right there in that ring. You know, we can make that work. I'll even go one step higher. Again, I'm not the matchmaker, but I'm here to bring money in. So say that happens. Say that I win. Say that I go through the tournament and I become the world-class champion in Nonstop Action Wrestling. My first decree as champion, fatal four-way, me versus Robert DeCaro versus Remus Kane versus the Lawman Kyle Kennedy for that championship. I would be more than happy to do that.
You listened to us last week on Sportswire Radio because, you know, I brought this up, and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy has a response, but I brought it up to the Lawman Kyle Kennedy that there is even a possibility that in the Fire and Gold tournament, society members could face off with each other. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy refused to give a real answer on that. And in fact, society member Remus Kane came in there and said, basically, don't get distracted, the Lawman. I mean, listen, if you're a matchmaker, you could certainly have the society members square off. And if you win this championship, I mean, listen, if society members are facing off with you, and now there's a prize of the championship, they say that they're all these different things. But you know what? When a championship comes in play, it's a different dynamic.
Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. With the society, they like to play this, you know, this crew, this group, this squad that's together. Doesn't matter who's going to come in top, you know, rise the society. No. Let me tell you what, they are not one team. They are three individuals that all happen to have a penchant and a like for face paint. So I'll tell you what, if it came down to it, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and those three chihuahuas would chew each other up, spit each other out. I feel like I probably wouldn't even need to do much in that match, because as much as Kyle, as much as Robert, as much as Remus might try and tell you that they are a unified unit, they are not. They are three guys in one team who all want the same thing, but they can't all have it at the same time. The Freebird rule does not apply to singular championships. So, you know, if you think that, you know, my family, where I come from, is a place of love, the Dad Bod squad, my fans, my family, all of us together, we are there to raise each other up. The society is there to keep each other down.
Ooh, I tell you what. And the lawman, Colin Kennedy, says, I'll answer that question, Mr. Bryce. Once again, a W for Mr. Justice. He's undefeated in the ring so far. I mean, he is going on the record here saying that he's going to be the next Goldberg, the next Ryback with a winning streak. And so far, he's undefeated. I can't argue with that. He's undefeated. And Supersonic Sammy Blue has another good question. Talking of championships, anyone in the local scene you'd like to tag with for some tag team championships? Then I'll get to a Mr. Snow response because he has a big response that you're going to want to hear from.
Okay. This amazing question, my friend. Of course, you know that I would absolutely love, if you weren't taken already, my mate, I would love to be in a team. You know, Champ and Sammy, that would be amazing. That would be so much fun. We would get so much done. There would be championships. There would be parties. We'd go on holiday. We'd knit. It would be amazing. We would have so much fun. So definitely, Sammy Blue. I would like to be in a championship. Like to be in a tag team with him. Obviously, there's my boy, the UK Cowboy Colt Young.
Yep, we saw that.
There's kind of an unofficial team there. You know, he's again a very good friend of mine, so I'd like to, you know, get to team up with him. I've had a little bit of interaction with Danny Loco, if you're aware of him.
Yes, I am.
So, you know, maybe someday there's a space for a big team up for us. Immediately, I'd like to be Sammy. I would like to tag with you personally, but you know, down the road, you know, Cole, I'd like to get something proper going with you, and Danny, 100%. You're so much fun to be in the ring with. So I feel like there's definitely potential tag team magic to be made with Jam Rogers and you, definitely.
I'll tell you what, on Sportswire Radio, I think we heard it here, and I think I don't have to get my ears checked. Could the possibility be of Supersonic Sammy Blue and also Champ Rogers be a tag team? Could there be some gold on the horizon for them? Stay tuned. I've got a few comments in here, but let me get to Mr. Snow first because he's the boss.
Yeah.
So he says here, very passionate response, Champ. I love it. The only favoritism would come from your advocate, Richard Knights, Mr. Kennedy. Who would you like to see in the tournament?
Right. I mean, again, there's so many people. I would like to see Bentley in the tournament. I think that would be incredibly fun.
Bentley's the guy. I got to be honest right now. He's red hot right now.
Yeah.
He wrestled Franco Varga. I mean, he arguably should be the GTM champion, the Bolton Town champion. I mean, right now, Bentley, I mean, he would be a big draw. A big draw.
Top of the world. Bentley, 100%. He's just got bucket loads of talent. I'm going to just list off some names. So I want... again, I've got to put my boy Sammy in there. Again, just amazing talent. That's not favoritism. It's just truth. Lance Rivera, the Playboy Prince,
Wrestle Island champion for about 5 minutes.
He's an amazing talent as well. Disciple, I'd love to see Disciple in there.
I'm glad you brought Disciple up because I have an announcement for Disciple in a little while.
There you go. See, again, he's incredibly talented. Again, a very scary dude, I think.
He might be in the best shape of anybody in the Nonstop.
He's amazing. Absolutely amazing. He's got it all, really. I'd like to see. You know what? I would put Goliath in there. As I said,
I asked him that.
What you want, I think, is you want a big variety of styles and kind of contrasting, say, for body types, for example. So people generally. You don't necessarily want to see two massive guys fighting each other just because, we've seen that before. Same as, all the flippy stuff. You see two small guys together. It's not that interesting as far as I'm kind of involved. But if you have a bigger guy versus a smaller guy or, a quicker guy versus a slower guy, so on and so forth, I think that's where magic is made. So get Goliath in there, get people by Sammy, like Sammy Blue, get Lance in there. If we get to do kind of dream booking for a second, I hear that Martin Kirby is doing the rounds at the moment.
Well, Anthony Ogogo was doing it.
I've got him on the old Facebook. I could drop him a message. He'd probably ignore me, but it's worth a try.
Listen, Anthony Ogogo was doing the rounds. I mean,
there you go. The sky's the limit. That's a beautiful thing about wrestling, Tom. The beautiful thing about wrestling is nothing is kind of too wild. Nothing is too out there to happen. Everything is possible when it comes to professional wrestling. And that's
no question about that. Absolutely. And I've got several comments. Let me get to a few of them here. First, Supersonic Sammy Blue says, how do you feel about 25-pound tickets to Lanzarote to start this party? So, yeah, I guess. I mean,
if I can borrow £25 off you, I'll do it.
The Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, probably has the 25 pounds. You could probably get it from the Lawman.
He could do with losing £25.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that because we're probably going to have him back on here. But there's a good one here from James West, and he says, don't know if this has been asked, but is there anyone you want to step in the ring with who you haven't already?
Wow, okay. Yeah, I haven't stepped in the ring with him, so I'd like to step in the ring with Gareth Angel. I think, again, great presence, great talent. He's very, he knows what he's good at. He knows what his strengths are. And I think that, that would be a fun match to have with him. Again, like I said, I would like to take on Muttley, Gungo Muttley. I'd like to try Joel Cobra. I would Maverick Matt Williams. I would love to take on Maverick Matt Williams. To be fair, there's quite a few people. Killjoy. I'd like to take on Killjoy if you know him.
Yes, I do.
So he's again an incredible talent. There's so many people. I have been in the ring with him before, but kind of briefly. But I would like to have a proper one-on-one match with Jake Carnage. So I know that, technically I have been in the ring with him before, but I feel like we could put each other through our paces. But yeah, no, there's such a pool out there at the moment to choose from. It's impossible to list it down.
Oh my God,
to, like,
the talent that we have in the UK is incredible. I mean, they're almost like half the names you mentioned I've had on. I've seen their works, but I do want to get to somebody that you know very well, and somebody that I certainly want to get his thoughts in here, and that is, of course, Mr. Old School MC2. He says, Old School says, it's nice to see one of my old adversaries back so I can choke him out. Ha, ha, ha. And as for the championship tournament, there's only one winner in this, and that is Old School MC2. I'll tell you what, Old School MC2 does have a case when it comes to maybe potentially being a participant in the Fire and Gold 8-person tournament. Give me your thoughts on Old School MC2.
So my general thoughts on Old School MC2, and this will be quite a controversial opinion, I think, is I have a lot of respect for him.
Really?
I have a lot of respect for him.
You do?
Yeah, because he's never broken his hip. He's at least he's what, like 80, 90 odd, and he's still performing in the ring.
He was wrestling in the Stone Ages then.
Yeah, basically. I mean, the first championship he won was a Rock, so it's I do have the utmost respect for Old School, because it's this is a bit embarrassing, but I never finished university. I went to university, but apparently thugonomics is much more difficult than they say it is.
If it makes you feel better, I didn't finish university either.
Look at us both now. We're both carnies, so that's great. So I got a lot of respect for him, and I would say he does deserve a place in the tournament. But my first win that I had was against MC2, was against Old School MC2. It was a tag match back at Christmas Carnage a little while back. So I've seen firsthand what he can do in the ring. It was him and Mad Ed. That's another person I'd like to say should be in the tournament, is Mad Ed. So I know that he's got, again, bucket loads of talent, bucket loads of experience. He's so experienced because he's so old. But he, yeah, I mean, bring it on. MC2, I don't have any problem with punching a pensioner. It's fine. Let's do it. You and me, right now.
Are you sure, though? You don't want to be, how can I put it, disrespecting your elders or maybe beating up on your elders, especially those of the elderly?
I may not look it, and a lot of people are shocked when I say it, but I'm only 24. So, if I I don't like to be disrespectful in general, but if I'm going to be disrespectful to anyone, they have to be my elders, because I can't just go around disrespecting
it's
children.
one thing if somebody's like 30, right, or 35, or even 40, but you're telling me old school MC2 was around when Rocks were the championship belts. You're telling me he's about 80 or 90. So that means you're telling me then that would make old school MC2 like literally like your great grandfather or so? Would that be right?
I mean, I mean, I don't think it's, out of the realms of realism to make claims such as that. I don't know. I don't have his birth certificate. I'll be honest with you, Brycey. I don't know. He could be 24 and just had a really, really hard paper round. I don't know. So, and old school, if, I've made a mistake and,
Tommy Dillon's a lot younger than old school MC2 then, right?
Yeah, I will apologize. 100%. But until I've got to go off of what I know. And, I see that you wear that leg brace. I know that, the body isn't what it used to be. So if, I can't sit here and, act as if you don't have more experience because you're so old. But, I would. You definitely deserve your place. You've earned your place. I'll tell you.
Okay, so certainly, I'm trying to hold all in my laughter because I gotta get my composure back because Remus Kane isn't laughing here because he says witty comments only get you so far, champ. You were right. We all want the same thing. All of this talk is assuming you were first in the tournament and then win the tournament. So Remus Kane is certainly giving his thoughts in here. And Supersonic Sammy Blue says, I am sure MC2 is feeling in rock bottom after that burn. Bradley says, champ for champ. But speaking of those that might be older than you, that segues me to Tommy Dillon tomorrow night, 7 p.m. British Standard Time, live here. More nonstop action wrestling coverage. And you have been in the ring with him. You obviously answered his challenge in GTM. And I wanted to get your thoughts on what we can expect when it comes to the wild card, Tommy Dillon. Obviously, an accomplished wrestler as there is. He is going to make his case here tomorrow night to be in that tournament. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the wild card, Tommy Dillon, and what your thoughts on what we can expect tomorrow night from him.
So, Tommy has always got an interesting perspective to give. Again, he's got so much experience and knowledge. Because he's been doing this a long time, and he knows what people like to see. He knows his strengths, his weaknesses, and how to capitalize on that and his opponents. So he's always got a very interesting kind of perspective on everything. And Mr. Dillon, obviously during my kind of early days was quite a he was someone that I did, look quite up to, and I would say I do still look up to him, because he's done basically everything kind of that I wanted to do. He's won championships. He's been in every promotion under the sun, basically.
I just watched him on UKW last week.
Exactly. UKW again. That's another place that I would love to go. So he's got all this experience, and he's so talented. When I saw that he had that open challenge, and I knew that it was I had to just get my gear on. And this is the first time I've got my gear on underneath this. I won't show.
I watched the match. I saw it.
I live in, as a wrestler, you have to keep it real. You have to live in your gear. You have to be ready to go at all times. So I live in my gear. I sleep in it. I eat in it. I swim in it. It's, I was backstage because I was trying to find the toilets and I got lost. And I saw that they were announcing that he was going to have an open challenge. And so, I thought, well, no one else is, going out there. I thought, well, I might as well. It was just a stroke of luck that they had my music, So I went out there and he got the better of me, he did, but I hit him with I got him in the love handle, like that signature Koji clutch. And I think if we weren't so close to the ropes, I think that would have been it there for him.
I thought you had him there for a minute.
See, when you least expect it, it comes out of nowhere. Love handle out of nowhere. but he is a tough guy. He is a tough guy. And when he's on your show tomorrow, again, remember, make sure that you tune in right here on that show. He's just got so much to say. He's going to he's entertainment.
Generally, in terms of his experience and his championship pedigree, I definitely am excited about that. And Mr. Snow says, yes, that tag team match was a favorite of mine from Christmas Carnage. Not sure how you got Santa to help out.
Just write him a letter. All you have to do is write him a letter.
Okay.
Any post box.
Milk and cookies, you left him out?
He likes brandy.
Okay.
So I left him out of brandy. I had to pay for his fuel, which luckily was just a bag of carrots. So
luckily you were paying for the fuel back in December, not now. Luckily.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he flies off a reindeer power, so I just had to buy him a bag of carrots, so it was easy.
That was lucky. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, no. So it was actually a lot easier to get him to agree to it. So I just basically sent him a letter, and we went from there. And now he comes over every couple of weekends. He's outside of the kind of the Christmas period, he actually has a lot of time on his hands, so you'd be surprised.
I didn't know that. So certainly Champ Rogers, that's why he's the super dad. Listen, the super dads, they know everything. Super doesn't. That's why I'm not a dad, right? So because I wouldn't know anything. So obviously super dad Champ Rogers definitely knows everything. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy says Santa isn't real, idiot. So certainly he's referring.
He was there. He was right there, Kyle. You can't fake that.
The Lawman is saying, and he's making a point that in his mind, from his vantage point, Santa is not real.
Well, from my vantage point, Kyle Kennedy isn't real.
Oh, well, that could be. I mean, certainly Supersonic Sammy Blue says Sammy, Santa, and Champ to Lanzarote.
Let's do it.
I wanted to ask you, though, before I transition back into Nonstop Action Wrestling for the remaining 20 to 25 minutes or so with Champ Rogers, pro wrestling star, who is making his returns here. Very, very, very big returns here. And again, if you like what you hear from Champ Rogers, Champ_Rogers Instagram, the Champ_Rogers on Twitter, Facebook Champ Rogers. The Champ is definitely here. I am the host of the Sports Report, the Reverend Tom Bryson, also the station manager here of Sportswire Radio. But Blackheart Wrestling, we touched upon for a little bit with Gung Ho Muttley. You are making your comeback there, and what can we expect, and how exactly are you making that comeback for us at Blackheart Wrestling later next week?
So there is, if you follow Blackheart, you may know that they have a Rumble coming up again. It's a few months of Rumbles coming up for old Mr. Champ Rogers. So I'll be hopefully in that Rumble there. So keep your eye out. Obviously, it's early days, so I don't know what kind of entrance order we're going to be looking at the moment. They keep it all very hush-hush, very secret. You don't want to get too much of an advantage. Hopefully it's towards the end, of course. I mean, if I could be number 30, that would be great. But it's a 30-man Rumble, July 3rd at Guiseley Theatre, just outside Leeds, Blackheart Wrestling. There's I believe, I don't know if it's up yet, but there will be, if it's not already, a event page on Facebook. Definitely check that out. I will be showing up there, and I will be winning that Rumble.
So basically, you're telling me, and Anthony J. Finkel, of course, dear friend of mine, who's in the house, obviously, from DPH Property Service here, maintenance out in Brooklyn, New York, do a phenomenal job in keeping New York City clean. Also do a great job in terms of all the different things that they bring to the table for the community. But so you're telling me this straight here. So we're going to see you win 2 Rumbles, July the 3rd, Blackheart Wrestling, and July the 16th for GTM. So that's what you're telling me here?
And the WWE Royal Rumble next year.
Well, that's January, though, so we got 6 months.
So I've got a bit of time to get ready.
So have you declared your intentions for that Rumble as well?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Vince to get back to me. I tweeted him, so he has to respond, basically.
Well, apparently he's having problems with his own daughter right now, Stephanie, because his own daughter don't work there. So he might not be getting in touch with anybody because, well, if his daughter is not going to be working for him, who knows who else is going to be working for him?
Exactly. It's harder to contact than Santa. But yeah, I've got 2 Rumbles coming up. I'm going to enter both Rumbles. I'm going to win both Rumbles. I'm going to be the first ever champion of every single UK independent company at the same time.
Wow, I'll tell you what. So Kenny Omega, eat your heart out because Champ Rogers has made the declaration.
Kenny Omega, meet Champ Alpha.
I'll tell you what. Omega has nothing on Rogers. And of course, if you want a Champ Rogers shirt, just like the champ, and in fact, I just got a gift card in the mail, so that means I should have $20 in there to go to ProWrestlingTees.com, backspace catalog search, backspace result, backspace Q equals Champ plus Rogers, and that's where you can buy a shirt just like Champ Rogers. And Dustin Hart of CCW says good luck to you on that. Dustin, of course, is going to be with us in the near and distant future. We just covered CCW a little while ago.
CCW sometime.
What's that?
Maybe I'll get to see him in CCW sometime.
I'll tell you what, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy claimed a little while ago that he wanted also to be a part of CCW. The Lawman Kyle Kennedy seems like he thinks like you, and he wants to be everywhere, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. So
there's a lot of me to go around.
Well, I want to ask you something because I want to break it here before we get off the air here in about 20 minutes or so. That this Thursday night, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, we're going to be speaking more nonstop action wrestling ahead of the Fire and Gold August the 13th event, also with more news and more coverage about the 8-person tournament here that we are going to have on. That's right. Speaking of big men, speaking of dangerous and deadly individuals, Disciple is in the house. Disciple is coming on here live Thursday, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. This is going to be a barn burner. It is going to be a doozy, a professional wrestler like you haven't seen before. You want a ruckus? You want an event? Disciple is definitely going to give you one. He has definitely been a huge part of the Nonstop Action Wrestling roster. We saw him, obviously, in the ring with the likes of the Alpha Predator, Rex Savage. You've seen him in the ring all up and down the UK scene. He is going to certainly voice his opinion on looking to be a part of the 8-person tournament, Fire and Gold, August the 13th. So you even took your glasses off for this one, Champ Rogers. So what can our audience expect here Thursday night when we get the debut from Disciple on Sportswire Radio?
Pure talent. Disciple is amazing. So much fun to watch. He's honestly, there is no one like him. I would say in the world right now. I can't overstate him. He's absolutely amazing. He's so interesting and he's just got such an aura there that he's actually fogged up my glasses. That's why I had to take them off.
Yeah, I was wondering, what did you do just now?
I'll be honest, it gets really warm in here. And when we're talking about Disciple, he's just, again, it's so insanely talented that it turns the temperature up in any room where he's mentioned. And he did just fog up my glasses from a distance there. So definitely tune in, everyone, to watch the Reverend talk to Disciple there. Any media that you can consume with either of these wonderful people is 100% something that you should tune into. I know I'll be watching.
I can't wait for it. And if you like what you hear from Disciple, I highly recommend that you also give him a follow on Instagram. And this is easy, Disciple Wrestler. Also check him out. Facebook. You can also check out Nonstop Action Wrestling also on Facebook and here. Also, we see in here from Supersonic Sammy Blue. Been very lucky to train alongside Disciple, and he is the real deal. Yeah, no, listen, I've seen his packages. I've seen his videos. Definitely, this is going to be a real treat. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy says, best use for a Champ Rogers shirt for toilet paper is the best use.
Hey, if you bought it, you can use it for whatever you want.
Oh, so I guess as long as they put the pounds into your account, it doesn't matter, right?
Hey, who am I to say what you use it for? If you bought it, it's your shirt.
Well, I'm not going to ask people what they use for their shirts. I'm just going to assume they use it to wear it, to put on their body.
I mean, you'd be surprised. I've had someone that their dog wears it. I've had someone that uses it as a form of a blanket. I've had someone that uses it as, just to kind of keep the rain off of them when they're out camping.
I've seen that before at concerts, like Lollapalooza.
Yeah, not quite a tent, but...
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that I actually in the summer, because now we're in June, now we're in the warmer months. Yeah, that I could definitely see. And Lord Damian Stone checks in, obviously, who does a great job over at CCW. He's going to be back with us next Monday, covering the card that they have Cole and Not Dole for their event. He also says, "Oh, I may have had the pleasure of seeing him a few years back. He was a standout back then." Yeah, Disciple has been a huge product of the UK scene. And Dustin Hart also says, "If you're ever in CCW, I will look forward to meeting you in the ring." I mean,
You
could be
too.
a
It'll
challenge
happen.
there.
It'll happen.
I'll tell you what. We saw the Lawman speak to the man behind CCW, James Barris, and he wanted a piece of CCW. So, I mean, if it's out there, right?
If Mr. Barris ever feels like popping, the Patriarch versus the Lawman, getting on that kind of train and, again, capitalizing on that, then I mean, Kyle's obviously up for it. I'm up for it. It's just need to pull that trigger.
Mr. Angel, he's got a relationship with Mr. Barris. I mean, you work for Mr. Angel also. I mean, so Mr. Angel apparently, he continues to regularly speak with Mr. Barris. Mr. Barris confirmed for us a little while ago that he is still in talks with Mr. Angel. They still have a relationship, and we've also
anything could happen.
And
anything could happen. The connections are there.
Listen, GTM guys, Mr. Cobra, Mr. Douglas, they made their declarations clear that they still want a piece of CCW. So we know that there's definitely still a relationship there. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy says, "And then I'll beat you in CCW." Something tells me here, you and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, that feud is going to continue to the end of time. You guys are like Russia. You guys are like Russia and Ukraine right now. You guys are like Putin and Zelensky.
It'll go until the end of time, and old school will still be there.
And old school will still listen. When the beginning of time happened, old school MC2 still might have been old. It's still
there was Adam,
like
Eve, and old school.
Well, on a lighter note, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you about your theme song, because I have to say, I enjoyed your theme song. I enjoyed it. In fact, I enjoyed it so much, I would even play it on Sportzwire Radio, but you have to ask me, how did the theme song evolve into what we see here throughout all the great companies you're a part of?
Well, it's strange, because when I first needed a theme, I had this kind of, it was still a bit rocky, but it didn't feel personal. It felt kind of a bit kind of generic. And then, I ended up kind of working with someone, and we got this theme kind of together. And then I don't know which version. There's a new version of it. It's the same song, but there's a bit of an intro change where, kind of there's a countdown, and it's got, my kind of, it's got my intro in it as well. So it's kind of evolved from what was just this kind of generic rock song to something that's a little bit kind of heavier, but also has, a bit of electronic in it.
Yep.
It reminds me a little, well, I've had it said to me that it reminds people a bit of Roman Reigns' tribal chief entrance,
a little bit. I can see some of that. I can see.
Or what's it called? Or Seth Rollins when he was the Messiah. I don't know if he used the same entrance. It's been a while since I watched WWE.
No, it's different now. Now it's a different one. In fact, I don't even like his new theme right now. It's like
I haven't heard it. I don't watch a lot of wrestling on TV.
I really don't like his character right now. Currently, it's
Seth freaking Rollins at the moment, isn't it?
Seth Creepy Rollins. Yep.
Yeah. No, I don't really watch WWE at the moment. It's mostly just indie stuff that I watch in my free time. But yeah, I
watched your match last night with the wild card Tommy Dillon. That's really my most recent match I watched.
It was good fun. That was a very fun match, and if anybody,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen it, I would definitely search it up on YouTube. That is it was a very fun match. It was a very fun match.
I enjoyed it.
But yeah, that's how the theme came along, and it's just kind of become a staple from there. I think it's very instantly kind of recognizable. There's quite an epic feeling to it. It kind of encapsulates how I feel once I, come from behind that curtain, once I've stood there in front of everyone, once I've basked in, the kind of atmosphere, and once I've got in that ring and I've got to perform. It's your music needs to be something that pumps you up, I think, as well. So it ticks all the boxes for me. And really, I love my song. I love my theme.
I would hope so, because it's your theme, so it's got to be good. But no, definitely, I agree with all fronts on that, and definitely you can go to Champ Rogers and his pages to see more of that, and certainly I look forward to listening to it much more on YouTube later this evening. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions here. And also, Supersonic Sammy Blue agrees. I watched Overchamp vs. Tommy a few times. A great watch. Your bedtime story makes me sleepy, though. So, well, we're getting close to sleepy time. That I definitely know. So,
Yeah, it's my belly to belly suplex.
And certainly, definitely, that bedtime story is going to make a lot more people sleepy. Very well, possibly the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, this time. We will find out. But I wanted to ask you this question before I get to closing thoughts and before we get out of here. And I always like to ask this question to wrestlers. I mean, how'd you want to become a professional wrestler?
So my story is a bit different, really, to what you usually hear. At least I think so. I did it. I mean, on and off. Growing up, I kind of watched it, but I wasn't really a wrestling fan. As a kid, I didn't kind of grow up, watching the Attitude Era. I didn't grow up, idolizing, these massive guys. That wasn't really what I was into. Obviously, in the playground, everybody loves Undertaker. You hear about Rey Mysterio, everything like that. So I liked it as far as that was, but I just didn't, I wasn't, I didn't, it wasn't my thing at the time. Then in what year was it? Was it 2013? WrestleMania 29. I can't remember what year. It was one of those. I think it was 2012.
28. 28 was 12.
Oh, okay. So it'd be 2013 then, because it was WrestleMania 29.
Yep.
The one in that was New York, wasn't it?
Yep. MetLife Stadium. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I watched that at a friend's house. He showed us the Rumble beforehand, and then we went and then we watched it, the whole of Mania 29, and that's a fair, compared to most other stories, that's quite a recent Mania to get into it. And I watched that, and I just loved it because obviously, I'm a massive fan of when the Shield were together. So straight away I thought that was quite edgy, that was quite cool. And then people always never believe me when I say this. Fandango came out. Obviously, Fandango versus Chris Jericho, Fandango's debut. Fandango won. I saw clips online afterwards of people on the tube sing it. Like the whole train was full of people singing da 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 da, singing his theme. And I saw that and I was like, oh wow, what I would give to have that effect on people, what I would give to have just people just enjoy, just have fun from me coming out there. And so from that, my friends and I, one called Titus Payne, another one called Talk, we started Fallen Tree Wrestling, which was over in Wales. It didn't really take off, wasn't major, it was just a small thing. And we kind of basically trained each other there. So very kind of CM Punk-esque start where, we kind of learned a bit and just did kind of junk shows and things like that. And it went from there. Eventually, I had to move away just because I finished school. So I moved from Wales. And so I don't think either of them kind of continued. I think that they kind of left it as what it was. But I started training then in South Wales with Mark Andrews, Wild Boar, Mike Hitchman, Mark Bird. Pete Dunne was there at the time, at this kind of time. It's also where Tegan Knox was when she was Nixon Newell at the time. So I trained there for on off for a couple of years or so. Again, I had to take a break because life gets in the way, doesn't it? And then a year or so ago, I got back into it properly, started training properly and taking it seriously. And honestly, things just kind of snowballed from there. So I haven't been in the business that long, really, in the grand scheme of things. But in the short time that I've been in it, it has taken over my life. I've kind of forced my missus into it. But she loves the shows. She loves everything. My son loves playing it. Some loves playing it, loves watching it. Hopefully my daughter, who we just had a newborn 2 weeks ago, so hopefully she gets into it. Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of taken over, and wrestling is one of those things where everyone is a family deep down. We're all there to put on a good show, entertain people, even if we're beating the hell out of each other. We want to make sure that everybody enjoys their time. And that's just one of the beautiful things about it. And, from the day that I started, probably until my last day, that's why I love professional wrestling. That's why I do what I do.
And that's why we love Champ Rogers, and that's why we love asking those questions here. So before I get to closing thoughts here, and it's obviously been a tremendous honor, I wanted to give you this opportunity to directly go to the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. I'm going to give you final thoughts to wrap. I know we've had a lot to get into here. We'll definitely post some of it on social media, but I wanted to give you the floor because now this is your first interview since you're returning here. This is certainly your chance now. Basically, you got the floor. We heard from Kyle Kennedy, the Lawman, last week when he got the floor. I'm going to give you the floor. You can say anything you want to the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. And further, if you want to even address anybody related to Nonstop Action Wrestling, GTM, or Blackheart Wrestling, I'll give you as a bonus for those final thoughts as well.
Okay. Kyle, directly to you, my sticky friend. Things aren't done between us. There's no way, us talking, the conversations that you've had with me, that I've had with you, the comments that you've been leaving, standing outside my house, sending me letters and flowers, trying to DM me on Badoo, whatever you do, you can't get to me, Kyle. But I will give you what you want, regardless of what happens at Fire and Glory, whatever happens with the championship, whatever happens with the tournament. You and I will meet again in that ring. If it's a case we get into the tournament, if it's a case I get that championship, like I said earlier, I am a man of my word. I keep to what I say. You and I will get in that ring. If I'm a champion, you know what? If I'm a champion, period, at any company, Blackheart, GTM, BTW, NSAW, I will bring you there and I will have that match with you. And I will give you the chance to prove me wrong when I say that, Kyle, Champ Rogers is purely better than you. So you, me, the society, whatever you need to make yourself feel better, to make yourself feel like the man that you wish you were, Champ Rogers, I will do it. In regards to anybody else, Sammy Blue, I love you. I think you're amazing. You and I are going to have some amazing tag team fun. That is going to happen. I know that you're with the Guardians at the moment, but that's fine. We'll figure something out. Blackheart, this is to everyone in Blackheart. It's an honor being with you. It's an honor being in that ring with you. I will take every single opportunity that I have to be there with all of you and to perform for your amazing audience. So thank you very much to every single member of the Blackheart crowd. GTM, amazing, a perfect place in my heart. Again, I will also be seeing you very soon. You never have to worry. You'll never go long without the one, the only, the patriarch, Champ Rogers. I will be back very soon. Same for you, Blackheart. Same for you, Nonstop Action Wrestling. And one last thing for you, Kyle. One last thing for you. The problem with you is you come in, you act tough, you act tough, you try and be this man that you're not, when really you're just a scared boy who's got to have mummy and daddy, Robert DeCaro and Remus Kane, come in. But if you need a father figure, there's one right here. And I will teach you to hashtag love true, fight hard, and be like your idol, the super dad, the patriarch, the Ayatollah of dad rock and roller, the sheik of the shed, the king of barbecue style, Champ Rogers. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, that was a load full, to say the least, and certainly the Lawman Kyle Kennedy continues. Keep making your jokes, clown. Man of my word. Well, your word was to beat me, and you didn't, did you?
I didn't say when, Kyle.
Interesting point.
I didn't say when.
And Supersonic Sammy Blue says, I am sure that the Guardians will take you in as our honorary father. So
that would be an honor. That would always be an honor. I can just picture Leonie Rose said it to me now. Yes, Champ, I'll let you be our honorary father. That's my opinion. That's my impression of Leonie. I think that's quite quite accurate. So yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Have a talk with them and see what happens.
I'm looking forward to it. These are reasons why, again, also you want to follow Nonstop Action Wrestling here. NSAW official. Also, Supersonic Sammy Blue says, love true, fight hard, both with the hashtag. So obviously here, I want to get to some closing thoughts. I just got some noise in the background. Unfortunately, I just got to have people just on a chat here, but that's okay. You know the feeling. You've got kids, so that's kind of how it goes here. But the Lawman Kyle Kennedy says here, not done with you either, Samuel. So those are certainly things here that we will get forward to. So for you, my friend, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts, and I want you to plug anything that you haven't got a chance to plug for us, anything else you'd like to share. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity, and I turn it over to you, and the floor is yours, my friend, and fire away.
I won't repeat myself. Don't worry. I won't go through the whole spiel again. But thank you, Tom, for having me. It's always an honor to come on here. If ever you have a spare slot and you need me, you know how to DM me.
Challenge accepted.
Again, a shout out. I'd like to say thank you because I haven't really had a chance to. I'd like to say thank you to my missus, to my wife, the one that slapped the hell out of Kyle Kennedy. I say that as if I've got multiple. I haven't. I would like to give a shout out to her just for supporting everything that Champ Rogers does. So, Mrs. Rogers, thank you very much for that. I would also, again, just like to remind people, so Blackheart, July 3rd, at Guiseley Theatre near Leeds, GTM on July 16th at Fountains Church, Bradford, and NSAW on, remind me if I got this wrong, was it August 13th?
August 13th is Fire and Gold. GTM is July 16th.
There you go. That's the one. So Fire and Gold in Swinton. That is, again, August 13th. So that, again, if you want to see more of Champ, you can follow me on my socials, as the Rev has said. Or if you get a chance to come out and see us at a show, it would be my honor. Always come up to me. Always say hi. I'm more than happy to give a patriarchal hug. But thank you for giving me the chance to speak. And thank you for your time. It's been honestly a pleasure.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to many, many more of these here. And obviously, tomorrow night, we're going to have more Nonstop Action Wrestling coverage starting at 7 p.m. British Standard Time with the wild card Tommy Dillon. We'll also then, right afterward to follow, is the man behind Nonstop Action Wrestling. That is Joshua Snow. And also Thursday night, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, Disciple is in the house. So, listen, like I said, I don't even know what to say when it comes to Disciple. Yeah. So expect a lot more Nonstop Action Wrestling coverage here on Sportswire Radio. We are very happy to continue to cover the company. And, of course, Champ_Rogers Instagram, the Champ_Rogers on Twitter. Facebook, also like Champ Rogers page. Also, ProWrestlingTees.com. Backstage Champ Rogers for a Super Dad Bod shirt like yours. And also we get here, yes, Disciple. Yeah, he's in the house. I'll tell you what, this is going to be a doozy. If you thought that Goliath was big, you thought that Gung Ho Muttley was controversial, you thought the Lawman Kyle Kennedy was impactful, you thought that certainly Champ Rogers was entertaining, you thought that Tommy Dillon was a wild card, you thought that Joshua Snow was the boss, wait till we get Disciple. Because I'm going to tell you something. Disciple is going to be the interview that you are definitely going to want to tune into. Listen, you're going to want to tune into all of them. Rewatch all of them on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Also YouTube at Sportswire Radio. You can also listen to them at sportnarium.com/play. Also my page at Facebook at Tom Bryce. Also Twitter, Thomas Bryce 2017. Give me a follow. LinkedIn also. And certainly we have Supersonic Sammy Blue. I think his spine buster would kill me. It would kill us all. With the exception of Goliath, because I would be curious to see if he could actually get up Goliath in a spine buster. That might be something that I'll ask him that Thursday night if he can get up Goliath for a spine buster. I'm going to make sure, Disciple, that I ask you that question. But in the meantime, we're going to be asking you a lot of questions. We were here on Sportswire Radio tonight with the man, the super dad, the patriarch, that is Champ Rogers. And we were honored to get him as his returning to the ring here is now upcoming in the near distant future. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. My friend, I can't thank you enough. Congratulations. Go get him out there in the ring. I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon, and challenge accepted anytime you want to come on to talk anything you want.
Thank you. Thank you.
As we're here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show with pro wrestling star here from Nonstop Action Wrestling, Blackheart Wrestling, and GTM. That's the Super Dad Jeff Rogers. As I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager of Sportzwire Radio forever, Tom Bryce, and we'll be back here 9 p.m. Eastern time here in New York. We'll be talking with college basketball star Jacob Dadafashili as he gets ready for his basketball season later this fall. So looking forward to that. I want to thank also CCW promoter and owner James Barris early on, and also our super dad, the patriarch, Champ Rogers, for coming on with us here to address his return to the ring here upcoming with Nonstop Action Wrestling, GTM, and Blackheart Wrestling. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. If you're on sportnerd.com/player, you'll get some regularly scheduled programming here in about 10 minutes. Thank you, everyone. Good night for now. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce.